You wake up every morning with a choice to either sharpen yourself or let yourself dull out with the rest of the world. And the truth is, life doesn't care which one you choose. Life isn't going to slow down. It isn't going to wait until you feel ready. And it certainly won't reward you for simply existing. Every single day you are being tested, whether you realize it or not. Someone is watching how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you react, how you fight through challenges, and those little choices you make day in and day out are building your future. Think about it. How many people do you know who want success, who want happiness, who want freedom, but do absolutely nothing about it on a daily basis? They'll talk about their dreams, they'll post about their goals, they'll write them down on January 1st. But when it comes to the grind of every single day, they quit on themselves. They let their excuses run the show. And then years later, they look around and wonder why nothing has changed. The reality is simple. What you do every day is who you become. You cannot wish your way to greatness. You cannot pray for strength and then avoid the weight that builds it. You cannot want respect and then carry yourself with weakness. If you want to become unshakable, if you want to be someone people cannot ignore, you have to put in the work. Not once in a while, not when it's convenient. Every single day. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think it takes something extraordinary, some magic formula. But it doesn't. It takes 10 things, 10 simple but powerful things that you must work on daily. These 10 things will shape your mind, your body, your spirit, and your future. And if you commit to them, they will turn you into someone who cannot be broken, cannot be silenced, and cannot be overlooked. Now, the question is, are you willing to do what most people won't? Are you willing to stop wasting your days and start building yourself brick by brick so that no matter what life throws at you, you stand tall? Because if the answer is yes, then today you're going to learn the 10 things you must work on every single day if you want to rise above the noise and take control of your life. Consistency is not glamorous. It's not loud. It doesn't come with applause or recognition. It's quiet, repetitive, and often boring. But here's the truth. Consistency is the one thing that separates those who get results from those who only dream about them. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how talented you are, or how many opportunities come your way. If you don't have consistency, you will never reach your full potential. And that's the mistake most people make. They underestimate the power of doing small things every single day. Even when nobody's watching, even when nobody's clapping, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Think about the strongest people you admire, the ones who seem untouchable, unstoppable. They didn't just wake up one day with that kind of strength. They built it. They built it through thousands of small decisions, through routines they stuck to, through showing up on days when they didn't feel like it. Success is not built in a single day. It's built by what you do every day. And here's the problem. Most people quit because they don't see immediate results. They go to the gym for a week. They read a book for a few days. They try meditating, journaling, or working on their goals. And when nothing changes instantly, they stop. But consistency doesn't work on your timeline. It works on life's timeline. And life will test you to see if you are serious enough to keep going. Every small action you repeat creates a pattern. That pattern becomes your lifestyle. And your lifestyle eventually defines your identity. For example, if you push yourself to wake up early every morning and start the day with intention, over time that becomes who you are, someone disciplined, someone ahead of the game. But if you keep hitting snooze, if you keep putting things off, that also becomes your identity. Someone who talks but never follows through, someone life can push around. And the dangerous thing is, identity isn't built in one moment, it's built in repeated moments. Consistency either builds your strength or it builds your weakness. The choice is yours. There's also a psychological power behind consistency. The more often you do something, the less mental resistance you feel toward it. The first time you try something new, your brain wants to fight it. It feels uncomfortable, unnatural, and exhausting. But the more you repeat it, the easier it becomes. You start building momentum, and momentum is a force stronger than motivation. Motivation fades. Nobody wakes up motivated every single day. But momentum, once you create it, starts carrying you forward. That's why consistent people win. They don't rely on feelings, they rely on systems. They know that whether they feel like it or not, the work has to be done. And by doing it every day, they make the process almost automatic. Think of consistency like water dripping on a rock. One drop doesn't change anything, 10 drops don't change anything, but thousands of drops over time can carve through solid stone. That's how powerful daily actions are. You may not see it today, you may not see it this week, but one day you look back and realize that your life, your mindset, your body, your relationships, all of it has been shaped by the choices you made every single day. People will look at you and call it luck. They'll think it was talent. They'll assume you had some advantage. They did, but you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck, it wasn't talent. It was consistency. And here's the thing, consistency is not about perfection. You don't have to be perfect every day. You don't have to crush every workout, read every book cover to cover, or make zero mistakes. Consistency is about never letting failure be final. It's about showing up again and again and again. If you miss one day, you don't quit. You get back up the next day. If you stumble, you don't stay down. You keep moving. Because the only way you truly fail is by giving up completely. Consistency means committing to the long game. It means realizing that success is not a sprint. It's a marathon. And the people who win marathons are not the ones who run the fastest in the first mile. They're the ones who keep their pace mile after mile until they cross the finish line. Now ask yourself, how consistent are you? Do you follow through on what you say you'll do, or do you give up as soon as it gets tough? Do you train your body, your mind, your emotions every single day, or do you let life dictate how you feel? Because life is watching, opportunities are watching, people around you are watching. And most importantly, you are watching yourself. Every day you prove something to yourself, either that you can trust yourself to keep going or that you can't. And if you can't trust yourself, why should anyone else trust you? Consistency is the foundation of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build confidence. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you destroy it. That's why the strongest, most confident people are not the ones who talk big. They are the ones who quietly, consistently do the work behind the scenes. They don't need validation because they already know they can rely on themselves. And that self-trust makes them unshakable. If you want to transform your life, stop chasing motivation. Stop waiting for the right moment. Stop thinking you need to feel ready. What you need is consistency. You need to decide that no matter how tired you are, no matter how busy life gets, no matter how uncomfortable it feels, you will show up. Because every time you show up, you're building strength. Every time you show up, you're building resilience. And every time you show up, you're moving closer to the person you are meant to become. So when you look at your goals, your dreams, your future, ask yourself, am I willing to pay the price of consistency? Because if you are, there is nothing in this world that can stop you. Consistency doesn't make you the loudest, it doesn't make you the flashiest, but it makes you unstoppable. And in a world where most people quit at the first sign of difficulty, being unstoppable is the ultimate advantage. Every single day you wake up, you're either sharpening yourself or letting yourself get dull. And there's no in between. Life is like a battlefield, and you don't step into a fight unprepared. You either build yourself to handle it, or you get crushed by it. There are 10 areas in your life that you cannot afford to ignore. 10 areas that demand your attention, discipline, and effort every single day. If you commit to strengthening them, you build armor that no one can pierce. If you neglect them, you walk into life exposed, fragile, and at the mercy of whatever comes your way. The first is self-discipline. Nothing happens without it. You can have the greatest ideas, the biggest goals, and the strongest desires, but without discipline, they're just fantasies. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when you want to sleep in. It's what makes you stick to your plan when distractions try to pull you off course. It's what forces you to say no to what's easy and yes to what's necessary. Every day you need to train yourself to follow through on what you said you would do. You need to do the hard things, not when you feel like it, but especially when you don't. Because discipline is the foundation of freedom. Without it, you're a prisoner to your impulses. With it, you control your future. Next is mental toughness. Life doesn't care about your comfort. It will test you. It will break you down. And if your mind isn't trained, you'll crumble. Mental toughness is about standing firm when everything inside you wants to quit. It's about keeping calm under pressure, thinking clearly when emotions run high, and not letting pain, fear, or doubt dictate your choices. This isn't something you're born with. It's built by pushing through challenges daily. When you run that extra mile, when you study longer than you planned, when you refuse to complain in the face of adversity. Each small battle trains your mind to handle the bigger ones. Then there's physical health. You cannot separate your body from your success. If you ignore your health, it will catch up with you. Strength, energy, focus, these all come from taking care of your body. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, every day you need to do something that strengthens your body. Not for vanity, but for survival. A strong body creates a strong presence. It gives you endurance, it sharpens your mind, and it ensures that when opportunities come, you have the energy to seize them. Weakness in the body leads to weakness in everything else. You cannot afford to neglect it. Emotional control is another weapon you need to master. Emotions are powerful, but if they control you, you're vulnerable. Anger, jealousy, fear, frustration, they can all make you act against your own best interests. Every day, you need to work on managing how you feel. That doesn't mean you bury your emotions. It means you learn to direct them. You feel anger but respond with strategy. You feel fear but move forward with courage. You feel pain but use it as fuel. People who can control their emotions can control almost any situation because they don't get easily manipulated or thrown off track. Confidence is built the same way a muscle is built, by use. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's quiet certainty that you can handle whatever comes your way. Every day you need to build it by keeping promises to yourself. By showing up, by speaking with conviction, by walking with your head up. People are drawn to those who radiate confidence because it signals strength, and that strength is contagious. Confidence comes from doing the work consistently, so when the moment arrives, you know you are prepared. Communication is another skill you must sharpen daily. The way you speak, the way you listen, the way you present yourself, it all matters. Communication can open doors that strength alone cannot. Every day, pay attention to how you speak. Are you clear? Are you intentional? Do you listen more than you talk? Do people walk away feeling understood? Communication is power. It can influence, inspire, and protect you. Neglect it, and you'll find yourself misunderstood, underestimated, and ignored. Resilience is what keeps you standing when life tries to knock you down. And make no mistake, it will. You will face rejection, you will fail, you will lose. But resilience is about getting back up every single time. Every day you need to work on how you bounce back from setbacks, no matter how small. If you let little failures defeat you, the big ones will destroy you. But if you train yourself to see failure as feedback, to use pain as motivation, then nothing can keep you down for long. Focus is becoming rarer in a world filled with endless distractions. Most people can't stay locked in on one task for more than a few minutes without reaching for their phones. And that lack of focus is destroying productivity, destroying potential. Every day, you must discipline your mind to concentrate, to block out noise, to give your full attention to what matters most. Because scattered energy creates scattered results. Laser focus creates breakthroughs. Gratitude might sound soft compared to the others, but don't underestimate its power. Gratitude is about perspective. Every day, you need to take a moment to recognize what you have, what you've overcome, and what opportunities lie in front of you. Gratitude keeps you grounded. It stops you from falling into the trap of always chasing without appreciating. And the truth is, grateful people are stronger. They complain less, they adapt faster, and they see challenges as opportunities. Gratitude isn't weakness, it's fuel for resilience. Finally, courage. Every day demands it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of it. It's speaking up when it's easier to stay silent. It's stepping forward when it's easier to retreat. It's making decisions that others avoid. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, telling you to take one more step. But if you practice courage daily, even in small ways, you build a spirit that refuses to back down. And that spirit is unstoppable. These 10 areas are your training grounds. They are not optional. They are not nice to haves. They are essentials. If you work on them daily, you transform into someone who can weather any storm, who can lead in any room, who can't be broken by circumstances or people. But if you ignore them, you become easy prey for weakness, for fear, for failure. The choice is yours every morning. Will you strengthen these 10 areas, or will you drift through the day unprepared? Because one path leads to survival, the other leads to power. And power only comes to those who are willing to work for it every single day. When you talk about growth, strength, and becoming unshakable, people often think of grand, dramatic moments where someone makes a life-changing decision. But in reality, the people who inspire us the most, the ones who carry themselves with power and respect, are built in the everyday struggles, the choices no one sees, the moments they could have quit, but didn't. Stories make this clear because they show us how theory becomes reality. And the truth is, every single one of us has seen the difference between people who train themselves daily and those who don't. I once knew someone who was full of potential. They were smart, creative, and had a natural charisma that drew people in. Everyone believed they would go far. But here's what happened. They lacked consistency. They started projects with enthusiasm, but never finished. They talked about dreams, but never followed through. They let distractions, excuses, and comfort pull them away from the hard work. Years passed, and while everyone around them moved forward, they stayed in the same place, still talking about what they were going to do. The tragedy wasn't that they weren't capable. It was that they refused to build the habits that would have turned their potential into reality. That's what happens when you don't strengthen yourself daily. You watch life move on without you. On the other hand, I've seen people with fewer resources, less natural talent, and zero advantages rise above everyone's expectations simply because they worked on themselves consistently. There was a woman I met who started with nothing, no support, no financial stability, no connections. Life had thrown her into circumstances that could have easily broken her. But she decided she wasn't going to let that define her. She worked on herself every single day. She trained her body when she could have stayed in bed. She studied when she could have wasted time scrolling through distractions. She learned to control her emotions instead of letting anger or sadness control her. Over the years, she became sharp, resilient, and confident. Today, she leads, she inspires, and she commands respect, not because someone handed it to her, but because she built herself from the ground up. Her story proves that you don't need perfect conditions. You need daily work. There's also the story of a man who lost his job unexpectedly. He had built his entire identity around that role, and when it was taken from him, he felt like the ground had been pulled out from under him. Many people in his position would have collapsed under the weight of fear and uncertainty. But instead, he leaned on the resilience he had built over the years. He had trained himself to adapt, to stay focused, and to see setbacks as opportunities. Instead of crumbling, he used that moment to reinvent himself. He took courses, networked, and sharpened his skills. Within a year, he wasn't just employed again, he was thriving in a role far greater than the one he lost. His story shows us that preparation meets opportunity, but only if you're consistently training yourself to handle life's blows. Think about athletes for a moment. The ones we admire, the champions, the ones who stand on the podium. Do you think they got there by training only when they felt motivated? They built their strength in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the repetition of drills, workouts, and routines when no one was watching. There's a story of a runner who wasn't the fastest, wasn't the most talented, but every single day he pushed himself to do just a little more. Over time, that little more compounded into a massive advantage. By the time competition came, he wasn't relying on luck or talent, he had outworked everyone else. That's what daily effort looks like. But it's not just about physical strength. Take the example of someone who works in high-pressure environments, say a first responder. Their job demands that, in moments of chaos, they stay calm, think clearly, and act decisively. You can't do that if you haven't trained your mind and emotions daily. I remember a story of a firefighter who had to enter a burning building to save a child. Most people would freeze and panic, overwhelmed by fear. But he didn't. Why? Because he had spent years training his mind and body to function under stress. He had practiced scenarios, controlled his breathing, and built mental toughness day after day. In the critical moment, his training took over, and he saved a life. That's the difference between those who prepare daily and those who don't. One hesitates, the other acts. Even in everyday life, you can see it. Look at people who control their emotions versus those who don't. I once witnessed two colleagues face the same challenge at work, a project that went wrong. One exploded in anger, blamed everyone else, and lost credibility with their team. The other remained composed, acknowledged the issue, and calmly started working on solutions. Guess which one earned respect and became a leader? It wasn't the smartest or the loudest, it was the one who had practiced emotional control daily. Small habits, like pausing before reacting, managing stress and communicating clearly made the difference when it mattered most. And then there are stories of courage. I think of people who have spoken up in rooms where it would have been easier to stay silent. People who have left toxic situations, even when it meant stepping into the unknown. People who have stood firm in their values, despite pressure to compromise. None of those decisions were easy, but they were possible because those individuals had trained themselves in courage daily. They had practiced making small, brave choices, so when the big moment arrived, they were ready. Courage doesn't suddenly appear in a crisis. It's built in the choices you make every day. These stories show us that greatness isn't some mysterious gift. It's not reserved for the lucky few. It's built in the grind of daily life, in the small decisions no one celebrates, in the moments when it would be easier to quit, but you keep going. The people who rise are not the ones with perfect circumstances, but the ones who refuse to let excuses control them. Every day they work on their discipline, their focus, their resilience, their health, their communication, their courage, and because of that, when life tests them, and it always does, they stand ready. So the question is, which story will be yours? Will you be the person who had all the potential but wasted it because you didn't commit to daily growth? Or will you be the one people look at years from now and say they built themselves into someone unstoppable? Because the truth is, you're already writing your story, one choice at a time. And whether it's a story of weakness or a story of strength depends on what you choose to work on every single day. Most people know what they should do. They know they should exercise, eat better, manage their emotions, speak with confidence, stay disciplined, and keep working on themselves. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is action. The problem is that people wait. They wait for the perfect moment, for more motivation, for life to feel easier. And while they wait, opportunities pass, time slips away, and their potential rots. The truth is, there is no perfect time. There's only now. And if you don't learn to take action in the now, you'll never take action at all. That's why adopting a do-it-now approach is so powerful. It eliminates the excuses that keep most people stuck. Think about how often you've told yourself, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month. And before you know it, years have passed. You didn't fail because you lacked ability. You failed because you delayed. Procrastination is the silent killer of dreams. It doesn't feel dangerous in the moment. You tell yourself you'll get to it later, but later rarely comes. And when it does, you're already behind. That's why successful people live by a simple principle. If it needs to be done, do it now, not later. Not when you feel like it. Now. Let's break it down into everyday actions. If you need to build discipline, stop waiting for the right time to start. Discipline is built in the moment when you don't feel like doing something. When your alarm rings in the morning and your body screams to hit snooze, that's your training ground. If you get up right then, even though it's uncomfortable, you're teaching yourself discipline. If you push it off and say, I'll start tomorrow, you're teaching yourself weakness. Every decision either strengthens or weakens you. And the do-it-now mindset ensures that you're building strength with every choice. If you want to improve your health, don't wait until Monday, until after the holiday, until next month. Start now. Do one push-up. Drink one glass of water instead of soda. Take a walk. People think they need to make massive changes all at once, but they don't. They need to start because starting creates momentum. You don't need to run 10 miles today, but if you put on your shoes and walk for 10 minutes, you've already proven to yourself that you can act. Action creates progress, and progress creates motivation. That's how you win, by doing something right now. The same goes for mental toughness. You don't build it by reading about it or talking about it. You build it by facing discomfort head on. When you're tempted to complain, stop yourself. When you're ready to give up on a task, finish it anyway. When fear creeps in, take the step anyway. Don't wait for courage to arrive. Courage comes from acting in the presence of fear. If you delay, fear wins. If you act immediately, you win. Every time you push yourself to do the hard thing now, you're rewiring your brain to stop hesitating and start conquering. Even with communication, the do it now principle applies. How many times have you wanted to speak up in a meeting, in a conversation, or in defense of yourself, but you stayed quiet? You told yourself, I'll say something later. But later never comes. The moment passes. And so does your chance to prove your strength. If you want to be seen and heard, speak now. Train yourself to step into the moment instead of avoiding it. With practice, this becomes second nature, and people start to recognize you as someone who commands respect. Resilience is the same way. When life knocks you down, you have two options: get up immediately or stay down and wait for the right time to try again. The problem is, the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to rise. The weight of failure gets heavier the more you delay. But if you get up now, if you take even the smallest step forward, you break the cycle of defeat. That's how resilient people think. They don't wallow, they don't wait, they don't overthink, they act right now. Focus, too, can be trained with this mindset. Every time you catch yourself drifting, scrolling mindlessly, or wasting time, you have a choice. You can say, I'll get back to work later, or you can snap yourself back immediately. The more you delay, the weaker your focus becomes. But if you train yourself to refocus instantly, you build an ability most people lack in today's world. That skill, bringing yourself back to the task now, sets you apart, because it turns hours of wasted time into hours of progress. Gratitude is no different. People say they'll appreciate things later, after they achieve success, after they get the house, the car, the job, the recognition. But gratitude is powerful only if you practice it now. Right here, in this moment, you have something to be grateful for. Breath in your lungs, people in your life, lessons you've survived. If you don't recognize these things now, you won't magically recognize them later. Gratitude shapes your perspective today, which shapes your resilience tomorrow. Don't wait to appreciate your life, do it now. And when it comes to courage, this is perhaps the clearest example of why do it now matters. Courage is always time sensitive. The moment to be brave doesn't wait for you. It appears, it challenges you. And if you hesitate too long, the moment is gone. That conversation you needed to have, that risk you needed to take, that boundary you needed to set, you either do it now or you lose the chance forever. Courage is built in the instant you choose action over fear. And the more you choose it immediately, the braver you become over time. This approach may sound intense, but that's because it works. Every time you hesitate, you give weakness the upper hand. Every time you act immediately, you build strength. The difference between people who dream and people who achieve is not intelligence, luck, or resources. It's action. It's the ability to step into the moment without waiting for a perfect scenario. The world rewards those who move, not those who wait. So when you think about your goals, stop telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. Start now. If you want to write, pick up a pen today. If you want to learn, open the book today. If you want to change your health, make the healthier choice today. If you want to become disciplined, do the hard thing today. Because the truth is, tomorrow is not guaranteed. The only time you have is now. And if you can train yourself to act in the now, you'll separate yourself from almost everyone else, because most people are still waiting. Your life changes the moment you stop delaying and start doing. And that power is in your hands right now. The question is, will you use it? There comes a moment when you have to stop listening, stop planning, stop waiting, and start moving. Everything you've heard about discipline, consistency, resilience, and courage means nothing if it stays as words. Words don't build strength. Action does. And life isn't going to wait for you to be ready. It's not going to pause until you feel motivated. Every day that passes is one less day you have to become who you were meant to be. That's why the most important decision you can make right now is to act, not tomorrow, not next week, not when it's comfortable. Now, think about what your life could look like 1 year from today if you started working on yourself daily. Imagine if you committed to self-discipline, if you sharpened your mind, strengthened your body, controlled your emotions, built confidence, communicated with clarity, developed resilience, mastered focus, practiced gratitude, and chose courage every single day. Do you realize what kind of force you would become? You wouldn't just survive the challenges life throws at you. You would dominate them. You would walk into rooms with a presence that demands respect. You would stop asking permission to live fully and start owning your place in the world. But here's the thing, you don't get to that version of yourself by wishing, you get there by doing. Most people will never take this step. They'll listen to speeches, they'll read books, they'll get inspired for a few hours, and then they'll go back to the same habits, the same excuses, the same weak patterns. They'll talk about what they want, but never put in the daily work. And years from now, they'll look back full of regret, realizing that they wasted their potential. Don't let that be you. Don't let your life be a story of almost sin maybes. Let it be a story of action, of courage, of relentless commitment to becoming your strongest self. You have two choices. You can continue living as you are, doing just enough to get by, staying in the cycle of procrastination and comfort. Or you can decide, right here and now, that you are done with excuses, that from this moment forward, you will work on these 10 things every single day. You won't be perfect. And you don't have to be. You'll fall, you'll stumble, but you will get up every single time. And you will keep moving. That's how warriors are made, not by never failing, but by never staying down. Ask yourself, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for someone to give you permission, for someone to save you, for the perfect opportunity? Life doesn't work like that. No one is coming to do it for you. No one is going to hand you strength, confidence, or resilience. These are things you must build with your own hands, through your own effort, through your own decisions. And the good news is, you already have everything you need to start. You have breath in your lungs, you have a mind that can focus, you have a body that can move. You have today, that's enough. Here's the truth, every day you delay, you are choosing weakness. Every day you avoid the hard work. You're building the habit of quitting. But every day you act, you're building the habit of strength. That's what this comes down to, habits. What you do daily becomes who you are, permanently. If you want to be strong, disciplined, respected, and unshakable, then your actions today must reflect that. Not just when people are watching, not just when it's easy, every single day. So what's your call to action? It's simple, start now. Pick one area, just one, and do something today to strengthen it. If it's discipline, keep your word on one small promise. If it's physical health, move your body for 20 minutes. If it's emotional control, practice patience in a moment that usually triggers you. If it's courage, speak up when you normally stay silent. Don't wait to master everything at once. Start small, but start now. Because once you take the first step, the second step becomes easier. And once you build momentum, you'll look back and realize that the person you are becoming is far stronger than the person you left behind. Understand this. You will not always feel like doing it. There will be days you're tired, days you're stressed, days you feel like quitting. Those days matter the most. Anyone can act when it's easy, but greatness is built when you act, even when it's hard. That's where respect comes from. That's where confidence comes from. That's where strength comes from. On the days you could quit, but don't. On the days you could make excuses, but choose action instead. That's how you separate yourself from the rest. Life is short, you don't know how much time you have left. Do you really want to spend it waiting, delaying, and wasting your potential? Or do you want to live it with power, with intention, with the knowledge that every single day you are building yourself into someone unstoppable? The choice is yours, but the window is small. Because the more you delay, the harder it gets to change. Don't let your comfort zone become your prison. Don't let fear dictate your story. Right now, as you listen, you have a decision to make. Will you keep living as you always have, or will you step into a higher version of yourself? This is your call to action, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because every day you wait, you weaken, but every day you act, you grow stronger. And if you keep choosing strength day after day, eventually you will become unshakable. So stand up, make the decision, commit to working on yourself daily. No excuses, no delays, just action. Start today and never stop. Because the world doesn't need more people who talk about change. It needs people who live it. Be one of those people. And when you look back years from now, you'll know you didn't waste your life waiting. You lived it fully, you built yourself daily, and you became unstoppable. At the end of the day, everything comes down to one truth. Your life is built by the choices you make daily. Not the big moments that come once in a while, but the small, consistent actions you choose every single day. Strength, discipline, resilience, confidence, these are not gifts handed to you. They are muscles you train brick by brick, moment by moment. And if you want a different life, if you want to stop feeling stuck, stop waiting for change, stop living below your potential, then you must decide to act now. Do not wait for tomorrow. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for the perfect conditions. The perfect time will never come. And if you keep waiting, your life will pass you by. Start where you are with what you have and commit to becoming stronger every day. Because when you do, you will look back and realize that the version of yourself you once thought was impossible, that powerful, unshakable, confident version, is exactly who you became. This is your moment. This is your chance. Stand up, take action, and refuse to settle for less than the life you know you are capable of living. Because if you don't fight for your future, no one else will. The power is in your hands. Use it.